Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. It's a Monday. It's a Monday after another NFL draft where numerous Bearcats heard their name called Monday. It is a Monday after numerous other Bearcats find themselves as undrafted free agents to numerous teams in the NFL. It is also a Monday where Wes Miller and the basketball program added a huge piece to the puzzle for next year's roster. And it is also a Monday where, of course, I get to say hi, hello, shake hands through the interweb and break down everything Bearcat upside down, inside out, any way you want it. That's time for me to bring in my guys, my pals. We only got two today. Mr. Ryan Royer is out on a mission somewhere out of town. So we're going to be here. We're going to rock it. Without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel. Gentlemen, how are we?
Well, just you and I right now because
Okay.
Chad's computer is in the middle of a reset.
Okay. A little, breakdown, if you will. We'll mention another thing you should do if you break down. It's a little bit too early for that segue. But Aaron, how are we?
Doing all right. Helped my sister move this weekend, and it was fourth weekend in a row that I've driven back and forth from Cincinnati. So really hoping I don't have to do that in the coming weekends. Although I don't know that I'm going to get away with not being there for Mother's Day and not going to make a visit at some point. So it may end up being 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah, but those drives, it's like me coming from Indy. I can do 74 with my eyes closed these days.
There is that.
It's pretty simple. It's just lock and load and you're there. But that's good. Nice semi not crazy weekend NFL draft. Obviously, taking up the screen whenever you can catch it. Game 7s and all the pro sports that are going on playoff wise, NHL and NBA. So quite a lot going on. But of course, a ton in the Bearcat land as well. Chad, I think did he get the computer figured out? I saw you get ready to click something, but
no, I was just checking the comments. There's several comments. So nope, Chad's still not here.
Tonk, yes, 5:00 somewhere. That's right. Gotta love me some Jimmy Buffett. Joe, we're here. Danco, Joe, we are live. Chelsea, what's up? Brian Johnson, you must be in Chicago or the Central Time Zone. Daryl and Holly, how's it going? But guys, now that Danco Joe's in here, just mentioning, shouting out, we gotta throw him the shout out. It's time to know that if you head to Danco Transmission and Auto Care, get yourself a little fixing. You can get $10 off an oil change, 10% off your next fixing. You mentioned Aaron, myself, the BBP, Chad Brendel. Just lock it in and get a good shout out. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Danco Joe. Good to see you, my man. But Aaron, we're gonna bring in some conversation about what was kind of the biggest storyline, if you will, from the weekend. Obviously, the NFL draft is going on. We're starting on the basketball side of things, and Chad will be able to hop in seamlessly here. But Seamus Lukosius. There's a YouTube video out there. I don't know who made it. It was made 7 days ago, where it literally tells you how to pronounce Seamus Lukosius over and over again. But transfer from Butler, averaged a little under 12 points per game this past season, 6'7", can play really all over. His team needed him at the 4 a little bit this past season. He played the 4, he can play the 3, he can play the 2. Very crafty, European style type player, if you will, wing. Shot a little under 38% from 3. Just a big time addition to the team and to the roster for next year. Aaron, when you saw the Seamus news, your thoughts and everything that you think his addition to the squad will be.
Well, I mean, this team has been looking for scorers, and he managed on a team that Butler averaged somewhere around like 62-ish, something like that last season.
Not very good.
No, and he managed to put 12 up a game on a team that wasn't very good. I can only imagine what he can do on a team that has other options to score as this Bearcats team continues to stockpile talent. And I think definitively we can continue to say that I know that Chad's disagreed with me, but I think that this roster as it currently stands is constructed better than last season's roster already, without even having played a minute. So I'm excited to see what can happen. And I don't know. I mean, you've gotten your sharpshooter now in CJ. You've gotten your all around guy who can go downhill in Simus, and I think Seamus. Okay, we'll see. I'm sure we'll hear 17 different pronunciations, especially once Kevin Johnson gets involved, because I'm not certain he ever said Landers Denali's name the same in any of his telecasts. But I digress.
Yeah, the thing is, the thing about Seamus. So, real quick, I'll just read what Wes Miller had to say about the addition. Said we are very excited to welcome Seamus to our program. He's a mature player with great experience playing both internationally and in the Big East. Very skilled offensive player who makes great decisions with the ball, makes the players around him better, and also shoots it well from deep. We love the toughness and tenacity. I believe he will fit in well with our team and impact winning. His dad was a basketball coach. He kind of traveled all over in Europe throughout his childhood, played, obviously in those leagues and developed. He could speak numerous different languages. He's including English really well, which is which I was pretty shocked to hear in one of the interviews that he had last September when he came over to join the Bulldogs. He actually was his first time heading to America. First time in America was when he came over to play for Butler last year. And so, kind of just fresh and new to everything that was here. But he had a bump in 12 minutes per game this season, raised his average from 7 points to 11.6 points per game, bumped up his rebounding percentage and average, had a big jump in assists per game, and also nearly a 10-point bump in percentage shooting from three. So he's got a lot going on that really makes him a great addition. And, Aaron, you mentioned it. He kind of slides into that three spot that Landers Nolly kind of controlled last season. A little bit different player than Nolly, though. But, yeah, definitely a piece and an addition that Wes and the team needed, and they're going to be able to get a lot of playmaking out of it.
Yeah, and I guess if you're looking at the roster as it's currently constructed, I'd imagine you'd have – Vic and Jamil there at the 4 and 5. You'd have Simonson at the 3. You'd have
Seamus.
You'd have CJ at the 2, and I'm just going to call him Lucocious.
No, Luco. I like the Luco nickname.
That's fine too. And then fill in whoever ends up winning the one spot.
Chad,
I like the roster.
How are we?
I've been better.
Got the computer working though. That's one step.
Yeah, there's this weird thing where my computer and my monitor decide that they don't like each other, and my screen goes like purple, and then I can't. Yeah. So then I have to restart, and
right.
Yeah, I'm giving it a few minutes to like fully boot back up so that I can turn the camera on, because if right now my whole system is probably going to implode all over itself. And then it had the lovely I hit the restart button and got the whole system is updating.
Ooh.
Yeah. The last time I did that, it took an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
I bust out the old laptop if that came in.
Yeah.
Thanks for the donation, Tonk. Happy Monday, boys. It's a great time to be a Bearcat.
Damn right, Tonk. Damn right. Chad,
rest in peace, Bear.
Yes.
I'm having a rough go of it.
I know, man.
Life sucks.
Yeah. It does, man. It does.
But I'm here.
You're here. We all love you, so we'll get through it together, man. So, from what you were able to gather, obviously the recruitment and whatnot of Seamus, kind of what did you see kind of breaking down as the deciding factors of him choosing to play with Wes and the Bearcats?
Cincinnati had the best basketball situation. I mean, the best roster, the best opportunity to come in. And I mean, if you think about it, all three of these teams are in the Big 12. Cincinnati had the best situation for him to come in and be successful. I don't think they had the most money to offer him. I think he picked Cincinnati in spite of the fact that there was maybe a bigger offer on the table, potentially. But, what won out was Cincinnati had the right fit, for him to come in and be a top of the roster guy on a team that, it looks more and more like should be a tournament level team next year.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And did Adams have a previous connection with him just due to the Butler in Indianapolis and that sort of situation?
I think it was more, and you're going to see a lot more of this going forward. I think Drew had a relationship with the agent. Everybody's got an agent now.
Everyone.
And sometimes having a relationship with the agent is a bigger N than even having a relationship with the player. So, yeah. You're dealing with a guy that has been well-versed in the overseas market for a long time in Drew Adams.
Yep.
And, I think it's going to be very beneficial.
So, the addition, obviously. So Seamus, I was mentioning before you're able to get the computer rocking. He is a guy that's only been in America since his freshman year at Butler. His first time playing.
Yeah.
I guess
similar to Vic.
Yeah. So the adjustment, obviously, at this point, is something that you can only see maybe once this next step, the next year, third year playing in America. In this sort of it's a different style of basketball, if you will. You could expect, obviously a huge jump from his freshman to sophomore year, but maybe another jump going from his sophomore to junior year.
Yeah, or, he just becomes a little bit more consistently what he showed at the top of his game last year, without some of the, without the peaks and valleys. Mm-hmm. A little bit more flatline, which, that pushes you up a point or two as well. It doesn't, when people think like a jump happens, it happens like in a straight line way. Sometimes a jump in your numbers can happen just because the bottom numbers, your bad performances, are higher, and all of a sudden that raises the floor for everything that you're doing. And now it's not that you had a bunch of 25-point games; it's just that you had less 6-point games, and those 6-point games became 8 or 9 points. Do you have TV on in the background, Brent?
Are you picking up some feedback?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh wow, got a new laptop, so I will text the girl and let her know.
The mic is a little more sensitive.
Turn that TV down.
Hot mic.
Hot mic.
Hot mic. But yeah, the addition for me is also one that where, it's you lost a lot of 3-point shooting off of the roster last year as well. And you obviously cured a bit of that with CJ Frederick committing, and then now a 38% shooter, and with a form and with a release that looks like it can, just stay right there level around 38, maybe even improve a little bit more with more spacing and whatnot, because obviously like you mentioned, Aaron, Butler was not a very good offensive team last year. Thad Matta did not really have the type of squad many in Indianapolis area we're hoping, but with more spacing, with more playmakers on the court with him, you can only imagine that's going to be a number that continues to maybe stay level or even take another jump up.
I mean, you hope everybody can take a jump up. I don't know until I see, I got to see what it looks like and how he fits. If you get a situation where you've got a legit inside-outside game with a downhill point guard, that's really where your offense can start humming. You got an offense where the point guard can get in the lane, collapse the defense, kick to the outside for open threes. They can re-enter the ball into the post for easy duck-ins. You've got, a couple guys that are really good in the pick and roll. all of a sudden you're starting to look offensively at like, whoa, like there's a bunch of weapons on this team offensively that can really play together, and that's what you're hoping for. But you got to see it. You got to see it, what it looks like, how they play off of each other. I think it should be fine because you've got guys that can pass and play make on top of score. Mm-hmm. So that's usually when things really can gel. It's not just what was the problem 2 years ago that we talked about? They had too many one skill guys.
Right.
There were too many guys that could do one thing at a high major level, and the rest was below average. Mm-hmm. Now, especially offensively, you're looking at, man, we got a bunch of guys that can do multiple things on the offensive end, and that's a big plus. Jizzle and Day are downhill attacking, guys. Get into the lane point guards.
Just one quick thing on Seamus before we kind of roll into the roster and its makeup up to this point. He mentioned that his favorite player is Luka Doncic. How he kind of crafts his game similarly to Luka, where he doesn't have this crazy athleticism, but he beats his opponent with his basketball IQ, that's something you can't really teach. You can get him up to speed and get his conditioning up, but an inherent basketball IQ is something that is, might not pop on the tape. It does with Seamus for the most part.
It does with CJ.
Yeah, with CJ too. Correct. Yeah,
I think it does with Reynolds. The more you really dig into Reynolds' tape,
gosh,
I know. There's a lot of offensive skill with Reynolds as well. He's not just, he can play back to the basket. He's really good in the pick and roll. He can pass out of a double team. All of a sudden you're starting to look at an offense that has a lot of versatility and weapons.
Yeah. I keep watching. Oh, Aaron, you're on mute.
That's without even bringing up pieces that are already in place with Vic and with Dan.
Right. Yeah, this is just the new guys.
Right.
So, I mean, you've got three. I guess it begs the question, are people happy now? Everybody freaked out. Nobody's ever happy, but you went out and you got three pretty high level guys in the portal that all fit the needs that you were looking to address. I don't know what more you can ask of a coach as they go into the portal. And then when you step back even further, you got 6 new guys coming onto the roster, the 3 veterans that were added, potentially all with multiple years of eligibility, and then 2 downhill attacking uber athletic point guards. And then, you got Rayvon. So, the roster looks considerably different right now than it did a season ago.
Would you say with obviously the addition of Seamus and CJ, how do you think defensively things will look if, having them on the court, with obviously not the crazy length and athleticism that you would, just from the outside looking in, but maybe more kind of a crafty IQ like defensive side? Because I think obviously they fit the bill offensively, spacing, can shoot, playmaking, really good passing out of all of them. But defensively, do you think that kind of will be more scheme wise, and Wes will be able to find a way to make the defensive side work?
He's gonna have to coach them up. I mean, look, there aren't a whole lot of perfect guys out there in the portal that can shoot, dribble, pass, and play great defense. If you can shoot, dribble, pass, and play defense, then you're 6'5", 6'7", 6'9", you know where you play?
NBA.
You play in this little thing called the NBA. Right? So, I mean, there's going to be some give and take for that, but Wes has made his money as a defense-first coach. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to coach his ass off on defense. That's going to be up to him to figure out the right rotations, who fits with who. Now, if you add an Aziz Bandago, then things change.
Just funnel everything into the paint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You want to drive to the rim? Be my guest.
I think
There's
Just-
an alien back there waiting for you.
Go back and rewatch the tape of that NIT game. Yeah, pretty crazy seeing Aziz Bendaga. I mean, obviously the tweets out there now speaking about who has reached out to him, and he's
Fairly elite group.
It's not too shabby, I would say. When you've got the likes of Duke, Kansas, Vanderbilt, Illinois, Cal, and of course Cincinnati. So, I mean, you watch his minutes in that game against Cincinnati, and that's high level on the defensive end. And then offensively, he can flush. He attacks the glass hard, finishes around the rim.
Average to double-double, 11.
Average to double-double, yeah.
Rim protector.
And rebounder.
Athletic. I mean, he finishes those alley-oops. I mean, we kept on talking about Utah Valley throwing a bunch of alley-oops, maybe too much at one point, but when you have someone that can finish them like that, you're going to lob a little bit more up. So obviously the staff is reaching out to him. Chad, I imagine, obviously that's one name to continue to track and see where things go there. When there's a player like that, throwing out Cincinnati's, mentioning him, you just make things work, right? When it boils down to it, because that is a program changer, top of the line Big 12 starter. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I mean that's the coach's job is to make the roster better. The coach's job is to make the roster ready for the rigors of the Big 12. If you can add an Aziz, you absolutely do that 100% of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And just great name, Aziz. Gotta love it. Obviously, he was at Akron before Utah Valley. A little bit.
But you know who looks really bad in all of this?
Who?
John Gross. How did that guy not get on the floor at Akron? He didn't play. That's why he ended up at Utah Valley. That's why he left Akron with no interest.
Yeah. Mark Madsen saw him and said, "You know what? You look like you can play a little bit."
Yeah.
Because he's a monster.
Yeah, he's an alien. He's an alien. Or as one coaching friend knows, I know that he calls guys like him insects because it's just all arms and legs.
Yeah.
John White wants to know whose spot would he take? That is above our pay grade. And for people that are getting paid a lot of money to figure out. I don't know. But
you also run into the possibility of you bring a guy like that in and somebody could be like, yo, I'm out.
Yeah.
Where's my minutes?
Right. So that's why, the guys sitting in those big offices get the checks with all the commas in them.
Yeah.
Is to figure out stuff like that. I don't get all those commas.
The ones that look like a phone number. I don't
get asked to make those decisions.
What is that? A phone number in your bank account? What the heck? But yeah,
right.
No doubt. Obviously, a lot of things still to work out. I mean, this portal is. Do you know when it closes? The second
or May 11th.
May 11th. Okay, so to enter,
it's open 11 more. You have to be in by May 11th. You can sign anytime after that, but you have to be in by May 11th. Yeah,
and then you have all those other guys that are testing the draft waters, but also are in the portal as well. So, but yeah, that was a big name to hit, and one that clearly now has a connection to Cincinnati and public knowledge. So, something to track. Obviously, so Seamus edition, CJ Frederick edition, Jameel Reynolds edition. Aaron, I want to ask you now: what is the most important thing this offseason for the staff to kind of get in line that you think would be take the team to the next level, if you will? Maybe it's a team taking a player taking a step up, or maybe it's one of the new additions being better than anticipated or more ready than anticipated. What would you say would be the biggest key to the offseason to follow?
I mean, I think you kind of hinted around it earlier when you talk about, is this team going to be ready defensively? And we don't really know. I think we have an idea as to where this might fall defensively, and I think right now it's going to be as the roster currently stands. I think it's going to be something that you rely on a couple guys a little bit more than others, which we're pretty used to at this point. But I think that that's going to be right now probably the biggest thing I would focus on if I was the coaching staff. But that's where my head's at.
Yeah, for me, Chad and Aaron, let me know if you agree with this. I think it's if Day is day one ready and looks like he can be a strong starting point guard in the Big 12, then I think that's one of the most important things for the offseason. Because
you'd have to get one of Reynolds or one of Day or Jizzle, and if you look at what Jizzle did last week at the Iverson Classic, he absolutely looked the part of a 5-star point guard throughout the week, and that's playing his way from the top 100, basically the top 100 game into the top 120 or the top 25 game, and then playing great in the top 25 game.
Yeah.
So, if you can get one of those guys ready and they can man 25, 30 plus minutes a night between the two of them at point guard from the jump, then you're cooking with gas. Then all of a sudden this thing starts to fit together real well.
Yeah, the Iverson, he had the one-on-ones. You can watch that video on Twitter where he was taking high-level 5-star prospects one-on-one and just scoring over each of them. And then obviously in the game itself on Saturday, he kind of took off in the second half at a breakaway windmill dunk, knocked down some of those mid-range jumpers that we're used to seeing. So yeah, he very much looks the part out there. And sure, it's sloppy basketball in those kind of exhibition all-star type games, but when he turned it on, he looked like he was ready to play at the next level right away. So
his mid-range is so beautiful, man.
Mm-hmm.
He gets such great separation and elevation on that shot. It comes out of his hand pure. I mean, it is a weapon, and his body just physically
ready.
Guards just bounce off of him.
Yep.
Like it is a situation where he can absorb contact like a veteran point guard already.
Like a running back? Weird.
Imagine if he had like some running back genes. If you look at him, he looks like a running back. Like
weird.
A big physical 6'1", 200-pound bruiser.
And it's awesome seeing like Edge post on Instagram. I mean he's wild on Instagram, first off. Second off, when he posts like videos of Jizzle and stuff, he's got like Antrell Roll and Deion Sanders and all these former NFL players and current NFL players saying like, oh dang, Jizzle. Like it's pretty cool to see that connection as well on top of things, because I mean Jizzle has the potential to be a star, I think, and he's making these steps in this offseason where you can just see
his game's growing. He's a lot better than what I saw last summer, and he was really good last summer. I mean, there's a reason I was really high on him last summer, and he already looks like his game is leveling up as he continues to work.
Yeah, well, and Day. You watch Day's highlights from this past season. He's a dude that is not afraid. He will go in and try and dunk on you. He's got a lot of, like, him and Jizzle kind of have a very similar game, and I think it's just having the ability to not be afraid to attack, tough, athletic. Now you add shooters around you, legit shooters. Even Seamus, who is a player that, I've got some Butler buddies, and they're like, yeah, I mean, the dude's tough. That's like the first thing they said about Seamus, is that he's just tough. Tough, smart player, can shoot. I'm going to miss him. And when people say that, it's, you kind of get to know that, okay, it's a pretty doggone big addition. And now you have this Aziz talk floating around. I think Wes is doing all in his might to get things really rolling in the right direction. And so, and Aaron, kind of piggybacking off what you said as well, is just there's a lot of other players on this team that potentially could make that next step. Dan Skilling, Josh Reed, players like that.
If Dan makes a Vic type jump from his freshman year to sophomore year, the way that Vic made last season, I mean, that'd be monumental for this team as far as the downhill game goes, because that's another kid who's not afraid to drive at any given moment, even if there's not much of a lane there.
Another guy obviously harped on his, hadn't played organized basketball since the 9th grade, this, that, and the other. So it's kind of, everyone is slowly developing and getting there. And Berg mentioned in his article, Josh Reed. I'm interested to see what kind of development Josh Reed can do in the offseason, things of that sort. There's a lot of names that are still floating around, and then you've got experience depth as well. So the roster is forming and starting to look pretty good. And when you see national media start to chime in and say, I thought it was funny. I don't know who I think it was on the board mentioning how quietly Wes is building a good roster over there in Cincinnati. It's just kind of funny because, if it was,
it's only quiet because you guys aren't covering it,
right? If you had reported a little bit more, I think it'd be pretty loud. But yeah, I mean, those additions, they each carry an if or a but with them, but still, if they can pass those ifs or pass those buts, then you've got a core that's looking pretty doggone good. And the fact that, Chad, you said each one of them potentially 2 years, so it's pretty doggone impressive. There's no doubt about that.
Can basketball offer scholarships above the scholarship? Yeah, you can offer as many scholarships as you want. It just what it comes down to is when the fall semester starts, you can only ever be at 13. That's the max you can ever have, be it in the spring, the summer, the fall, whatever. But basically, when the fall starts, if you're at 13, you're good to go. If you're at 14, you make some adjustments. You got to call the GM. Have the GM check the 40-man and see where some moves can be made.
I do like the question there by Bearcat 12. Floor has been raised significantly. How high has the ceiling been raised?
Again, I don't know. I
right.
need to see. I need to get my eyes on things. I just don't like making comments like that.
Yeah.
One, because there are a few people that are around in this world that'll hold me to something that I don't know the answer to yet. If I can see and I can get kind of a feel for, okay, how does this piece fit with this piece? What does that look like?
Right.
Then I feel a lot better about giving a statement like that. But right now, it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, I agree. But I think both have been raised for the most part. Kind of just, you see basketball IQ. I keep saying it, and obviously Seamus loves to say it as well in his game. But that's something that is a team thing. It builds the team as a whole. So when you get a bunch of guys on the court with a high basketball IQ, the core gets better as a whole. So I think that's something that you'll see as a true change. Here we go. Got a $10 boy. Go ahead and read that.
Yeah, just want to thank GMAC for his donation. GMAC says just tuned in. When is the Jordan apparel that Wes was wearing going on sale? And Ivan Pace got robbed a good $5 to $10 million this week. Should have been gone in the second round. Hope y'all are doing well. Thanks again, GMAC.
So here's what I can say on the Nike Jordan stuff. I can say this confidently. I feel confident about this. If there was a deal, if things were signed, sealed, and delivered, there would be an announcement. That there hasn't been an announcement tells me that not everything is signed, sealed, and delivered. So I there's not much else I can say on that. That just, I think when/if something is signed, sealed, and delivered, then you'll have an announcement, and then things will start entering the market. But until then, we wait. And why do the coaches have them out on the road? Recruiting is recruiting. And guess what? You recruit a lot better with that on your chest than this. So I would guess that probably has something to do with what transpired over the past 2 weekends. But look, I can say with certainty, when there are signatures on dotted lines, very shortly after, it'll be public, whatever is happening, one way or the other. So that's the best I got for now. Ivan, look, man, size in the NFL, they take it very seriously. Measurables, they take very seriously. And do I think there's teams that made all the teams that made a mistake? Yeah, I do. But guess what? That's how business has been done in that league forever and ever and ever and ever. Yeah. And it's not going to change very frequently. So did I think he would go probably 4th or 5th round? Yeah, I did. Am I shocked that he's going to have to earn it? No. And do I think he will? Yeah. Like, that's what he's done. That's who that guy is at every stop he's ever been at. The size has always been a question, and you put him on the field and he plays. Look, here's the reality of it, Brent.
Yeah.
Cincinnati didn't draft him initially for these reasons. He desperately wanted to be a Bearcat coming out of high school. And because he was too small, Cincinnati passed. Fortunately, they benefited the second time around. But, you know, that a lot of teams, like Davis talked about this, you have to know, like, the way the draft works, there are certain teams that say, look, here is what we're looking for. And if you are not that, you're not on our draft board. We are not. It doesn't matter that you're a first team All-American. Like, none of that stuff matters. What matters is we are looking for this, and you do not check the boxes.
Right.
And we are going to go find somebody that does. Yeah. Is it kind of bullshit? Yeah, it is kind of bullshit. But that's how this shit works. And unfortunately for Ivan, he's going to have to go earn it again. But I think he will.
You know, and it's interesting you mentioned that, because obviously a unanimous first team All-American selection, and we're going to dive into the draft more here soon. But yeah, it just reminds me of, like, you know, Sean Kilpatrick back in the day. It's weird to say back in the day, but I guess it kind of is. But you know, first team All-American. You know, a guy who stole the hearts of all Bearcat fans, and you know, and all of a sudden you see the draft go, and the guy's undrafted. Well, there's certain things that NBA teams look for, and he was out of the range age-wise, out of the range probably athleticism-wise, maybe length. Yeah. So, you know, it's just, like you said, it's a business. And, yes, you can run the tape of Ivan Pace, but in that 7th round, most players will say they'd rather go undrafted than be drafted in the 7th round, because you're tied down on one situation instead of having the ability to kind of look around and see which one that fits best with your agent and with your family, and then you make that decision. So when that 7th round hit, and that's also when you see a lot of gambles being taken by, you know, let's get this 6'5", 260-pound guy that had, you know, a total of 30 tackles in his career, and maybe he'll shape up to be something. So we'll touch a lot more on the draft here soon. Anything more basketball-wise, guys, or wrap it up?
Really.
Aziz obviously popped in. Cincinnati is inquiring at the least part, but like we said, a lot of things change. So we'll see, you know, if other names pop in, and if they are of interest. I'm sure that you will hear about it through the board, through certain ways. So that's good with basketball. We'll go ahead and timestamp the sucker here and roll into that draft talk.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. I was looking at something. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly, low minimum next-day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. So yeah, the continue to talk about Ivan Pace. Aaron, your thoughts when you saw Ivan go undrafted, and as the days keep ticking, you kept looking on Twitter. People are saying, people with a large following that know a lot about just analytics and breaking down players, saying, someone please draft Ivan Pace. Your thoughts when we saw the day pass on Saturday?
Yeah, I was a little surprised he didn't get drafted at all. Just solely, you don't really see many guys go to the Senior Bowl and not get drafted. I think they're at something close to an 80% clip right now, or thereabouts, as far as guys over the last several years that have been to the Senior Bowl getting drafted.
Yep.
Yeah, he went to the Combine. To your point, yeah, he was an All-American first team, and again, like, not very often that you don't see an All-American not get drafted,
especially in football.
Yeah.
You see a lot in basketball, actually.
Right.
You'd be surprised how much you see it in basketball.
I'm just talking the football side. In any case.
Yeah. No, but I just stating that, like, it doesn't happen. You very rarely see a guy go All-American, Senior Bowl, Combine, not drafted. Like, that's, if you got all three of those boxes checked, I would guess it's 90%.
Yeah.
Like,
and so
gets drafted.
In that sense, since he had all those accolades, I was surprised he did not get drafted. Now, when you look at his size, as has already been brought up, I mean, right now everything is so analytical, where they're looking at hand size, they're looking at wingspan for, especially on offensive line. If you don't have the right hand size, if you don't have the right wingspan, you're just not, like, arm length, you're not getting drafted by certain teams. And different teams have different thresholds in that regard, but doesn't matter what you did in college. They just will not draft you. You are off the board, to Chad's point earlier. So, we kind of saw the same thing with Jarrell White not too long ago, where he had a hell of a year here. Not quite the year that Ivan had, certainly, but super productive player, and got no love. And I don't even know if he ended up latching on with anybody as far as camps go after the fact. So just the size, it was the biggest knock on Ivan, and here we are where he said, y'all done fucked up.
Yeah. You look at that tape, man. I mean, just, he's a ball player, dude. He really is. So the Vikings, they've got a chance to. I mean, the Vikings defense was terrible last year, so a chance for Ivan to go in, make some noise in a rookie minicamp, make some noise, and obviously just try and just show everyone, hey, you messed up, guys. A lot like Chad, what you said, how obviously he wanted to be a Bearcat, didn't get the offer, went at a 6-sack game at Miami, and was the leading tackler, was MAC Player of the Year defensively, and then came to Cincy for one season, and we all thought he wasn't going to start. Thought he was going to be kind of good depth piece, and then all of a sudden he goes out there and he's probably one of the most disruptive defensive players in the history of Cincinnati football. So, I think he's going to have that chip on his shoulder, just grew a little bit larger, and he's going to go out there and show what he can do. So, Minnesota got a good one. But let's talk about the three players that did get drafted, starting with Trey Tucker. Obviously, their 100th pick in the third round there. Trey Tucker to the Raiders. Got Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow, the starting three wide receivers on that team in Las Vegas. Aaron, Chad, guys, were you a little surprised to see Trey Tucker's name called first above Tyler Scott, and then of course how you kind of feel the fit is there in Las Vegas.
I mean, I was until it was the Raiders.
Right.
Like, you know,
Al Davis coming around, just the
ghost
is saying, get it.
A little tiny like track, super fast guy the Raiders take. Like, you know, that's been happening my entire life. Right. So when it was the Raiders, I was like, man, you know, this is what it is. Like, I get it.
I was watching the NFL Network, their coverage of the draft, and believed they said that Josh McDaniels likes to have home run hitters on special teams. And since Trey had the 2 touchdowns that were returned in his career from special teams, as opposed to Tyler, that was what they thought as they were trying to justify the pick of Trey Tucker at that point.
Yeah, and they made him do that whole punt catch thing. Made Tyler do it too I think that was at the pro day, or might have been at some sort of event where they were mentioning or trying to catch numerous balls at one time and trying to see where they fit on that special teams side of things. But I mean Trey has shown. I think Trey was a little underutilized at times in the offense when he was here.
Agreed.
Just get an athlete like that the ball in space. They did it a few times each game.
Here's my question.
Right.
If everybody was underutilized,
right? Who are you?
How are they playing offense?
I know. I agree.
Trey was underutilized. Tyler was underutilized.
The tight ends never got the ball. Yeah.
Like if that's one of the issues when you have a team that has a bunch of weapons on the offensive side of the ball.
It's hard to get.
Is that like when you divide by 100, however many you got 5 or 6 guys you need to get the ball 20% of the time.
Aaron's the math major
of the time.
Well, I don't even know this necessarily that they were underutilized. I think it was just sometimes the play calling, and that's a whole different discussion. But anyway,
I think he's
because you play NCAA 14 back on your TV there behind you all the time does not make you an expert on play calling.
Well, it certainly wasn't just me saying that.
Do you want to go over the things a lot of people say that are stupid? We could be here all night if we did that.
Hey, Chad, Aaron's 5 straight national championships and 6 Heisman winners would like to beg to differ with you about his play calling. Aaron knows what he's doing on that NCAA 14, right?
We're not there yet. We're only one season in.
One season.
I only play when I'm sitting here listening to Chad and Dave. And
I tell you what, I played that religiously in college. Just like and then like some nights I'd have a couple too many pops, and then I'd wake up in the morning and be like, oh my gosh, had a terrible game last game. But still, I digress. So I mean Trey Tucker is a home run hitter and super fast. Obviously, we've all seen that out of him, but he does have that special teams side to him as well. So, I mean, the Raiders just get another slot receiver, special teams, ace, where they can kind of let him go out and make some plays. So he was taken on Friday, the only Bearcat to hear his name on Friday, and that leads into Saturday when the Chicago Bears had the lucky chance to draft Tyler Scott with the 133rd pick. They're in the 4th round. They have DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Equanimous St. Brown as their wide receivers listed. So Tyler Scott kind of, obviously hadn't been a wide receiver too long, but man, he's talking about home run. We've mentioned it numerous times. But what do you think he was noticeably frustrated, I feel like, as he continued to not hear his name call and see other wide receivers being drafted ahead of him. A good situation in Chicago to kind of show what he has, try and team up with Justin Fields. Your guys' thoughts on the draft of Tyler Scott heading to the Bears?
It's a really good fit.
Yeah.
They need some weapons. They need some offense. It gives them a guy that from the slot or from the outside can make plays and be a reliable threat for Fields. I think they're trying to be a little bit more creative offensively. So I think it's a pretty good location for him.
I personally hate the Bears offense. I think Justin Fields is not a good quarterback. I think he's one of the most overhyped quarterbacks in the entire NFL. That said, I think Tyler Scott
Who
can.
hypes Justin Fields?
ESPN. Literally, ESPN. They're
fantasy football owners.
That too. But I think that Justin Fields can't throw the ball very well, and Tyler Scott, being a guy that can catch the ball in space very quickly, should actually bode well for Justin Fields, so he doesn't have to air the ball out to get the ball going. So I don't know. There's a lot of receivers on that team, but I think that he carves out a spot for himself quickly.
Yeah, I mean when you saw him, that video of him just pushing all the other hats off the table. Him, saying Chicago's the place I wanted to go all along. He came on this podcast and mentioned the story about Ohio State. Just another guy that kind of is going to have that chip on his shoulder as well. And I mean, if there's anything we know about Tyler Scott, is he's going to put in the work to completely maximize his potential and his abilities. So I'm excited to see what comes of that, because I think he's got that extra added momentum and reason to prove everyone wrong. Tell the other 31 teams, hey, you guys made a mistake, pass it on me. So that's what I'm excited to see, especially because he hasn't really played wide receiver too much up to this point. So I'm excited to see what can come from that. Last but not least, out of the drafted was Josh Whyle, 5th round, 147th pick. Chigoziem Okonkwo, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, listed as a starter in the depth chart. Josh Whyle listed as the backup at tight end for the Tennessee Titans. Chad, you obviously have a very distinct connection with the Whyle family. Your thoughts on that, not only the pick, but the fit and, of course, the connection between Tennessee and Cincinnati?
I mean, I don't know a ton about the Raiders offense, so that maybe Aaron can fill you in a little bit better on that.
Talking Titans.
Titans.
Or Titans offense. I mean, they run the ball a ton. Right. So usually those offenses are good for tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a guy that Vrabel, outside of scheme, Vrabel is going to love Josh Whyle, because I think there's a lot of Mike Vrabel in Josh Whyle. Good dude, but a little crazy in it. He gets in the weight room, he gets out on that field, he's got a little nuts to him. And I think Vrabel's kind of not. They're cut from the same cloth. Is that the right phrase? I think
it works. Yeah.
So I think that's a good location for him. I think his work ethic and who he is as a football player will serve him really well playing on a team coached by Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. Tennessee's biggest issue is they don't know. They have 3 quarterbacks, and I think that means essentially they have no quarterback.
That's 2. I don't know that's if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. I don't know what they say about when you have 3.
3 might be negative. I don't know. I don't know. Will Levis, goes to Tennessee.
Yeah, can we talk about that Will Levis a little bit?
Is now their 3rd string quarterback. Malik Willis is somehow still their 2nd string quarterback. He's done nothing to impress anyone at this point, outside of what he did in his workouts before he got drafted. And you still have the marionette of Ryan Tannehill down there, and I don't know I'm surprised he's still in the league, if I'm being completely honest. So outside of that, yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry is
Derrick Henry and the boys. Yeah.
probably in his twilight years right now. I mean, he's coming down from who he was. He's oft injured at this point, and that's not a great situation for a big bruiser of a back like that. I don't know. I mean, Tennessee has some holes, and maybe that actually bodes well for Mike Vrabel, as he did promise to cut his dick off if he ever won a Super Bowl. So, you know,
he did say that.
So maybe strategically, he's like, all right, let's draft the quarterback that puts mayonnaise in his coffee and eats bananas with the peels on.
It's
a weird dude.
Serial killer type shit.
Look, here's the thing. How many weird dudes have been great quarterbacks? Like, it's not a big number. Like, usually they're pretty,
Aaron Rodgers.
But Aaron Rodgers is like, he's not a weird dude as much. Like, he became a weird dude.
Russell Wilson.
Like, yeah.
Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah. I guess those two count.
He's a weird dude.
But there's not, like, in the history of great quarterbacks, there's not a lot of weird dudes. Like, they're usually pretty straightforward, cut and dry, like good in front of the mic. Like,
I think it kind of depends on your definition of weird, because I mean, if we're talking just different, I mean, you're talking Mike Vick, you're talking Ben Roethlisberger, you're talking
Tom Brady in there. He got kind of weird. Well,
I mean, you know, those are all. Well, Ben was aggressive.
Favre.
Favre was aggressive late. Like he wasn't as crazy until he got famous. I'm talking dudes that before they got famous were crazy. Like you guys are talking about a lot of dudes that, like, Russell Wilson probably fits more than anybody on, like, he's a weird dude before he got famous. Right. Will Levis was a weird dude coming out of the womb. Like, that fame did not make him weird. That dude was fucking weird from the start.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. I think you guys you're putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
He had a good posse with him in the green room, though. That's for sure. But yeah,
and for day one,
day
two, all those girls were on a plane back to Lex Vegas.
Dog. The funniest thing though was, like, when he
switched girls, didn't he?
Well, two are his sisters, and then one is his girlfriend. But don't ask me how I know that. But so the funny thing was what he said before the draft, how he was like, I'm not going to go to the green room unless I know I'm going to be one of the top picks in the draft. There'll be nothing worse than sitting there the entire first round and not get picked. And that's literally what happened. So,
yeah,
here we are. But yeah, obviously Josh Whyle goes into a situation where the Titans do use tight ends quite a lot. So the ability for him to really have a productive career there, I think is pretty strong.
Well, I found it odd that he was listed even on some, I don't know if on all the telecasts, he was listed as a fullback. Maybe he's going to be playing more in that H-back role as opposed to just tight end, which just is another feather in the cap, is another opportunity to get on the field and just be another weapon in the offense. If you can't necessarily get on the field as tight end one, even tight end two, you've given yourself another way to be utilized in the offense.
And Chad, you mentioned it a little bit on the nightcap with Justin. I wish that I could get a recording of that phone call between Vrabel and Fickell and just hear, when Vrabel was like, tell me about Wiley.
Right.
And just what those two went back and forth about. There was probably must-hear phone convo there. But those are the tapes we will never see. So after that, no names heard the rest of the way. Obviously, we already touched on Ivan Pace, undrafted free agent to the Vikings. Then you have James Tunstall to the Dolphins, Arquan Bush to the Seahawks, Will Huber to the Vikings, Lenny T to the Jaguars, Lawrence Metz to the Bears, Charles McClellan to the Titans, and then Ty Van Fossen got an invite to Colts rookie minicamp. Jeremy Cooper got an invite to the Chiefs rookie minicamp, and Javon Hicks got an invite to the Falcons minicamp. Any of these that you guys are tracking and hoping to see, maybe hopefully something comes from it. Obviously, it's when you don't have a lot of names drafted. I mean, 3 is still a good number. It's more than a lot of colleges out there, but when you have that many undrafted free agents and then invitations to rookie minicamp, that's something to really talk and make mention about as well.
I just want to point out how many of those teams that you just mentioned, between who had already been drafted this season and last season and guys that they have on roster, most of those teams already have at least one Bearcat on the roster as it currently stands.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that becomes contagious. That's part of the reputation that this program is building. Guys are going to come in, they're going to know the game, they're going to know the playbook, they're going to work.
Sure.
That's going to get you the benefit of the doubt a lot of times. It didn't happen this year in terms of, guys having the benefit of the doubt. It would have been interesting to see, say they, Ben doesn't get hurt, they beat Tulane, they go and win the bowl game.
Right.
How much different does it look like for some of those guys that were borderline? Do teams pull the trigger? And when you get all the way to the college football playoff, guess what? Teams are more likely to pull the trigger. Now that team had more talent, so that's one thing. But if you remember that draft a year ago, a lot of those guys went a good deal higher than what their draft projections were. Or at least they were right at there weren't any really that were like, this guy fell.
Yeah, I think Dez would probably be the only one that you would argue.
But if you listen to that draft, leading up to it, the consensus was there's not a QB1. This is not going to be a quarterback heavy first round.
Yeah.
And some guys could slip. Nobody thought it was going to be the second quarterback went in the middle of the third round. Mm-hmm. But that sense was out there with Dez for that whole quarterback class. And guess what? Dez went in the third round, but he's also the Atlanta Falcons starting quarterback for 2023.
Yep.
So, sometimes it plays out like it's supposed to.
Yeah. And, of course, you see, obviously, Dez getting that starting nod, but you see, as you were mentioning, Aaron, there it is. Hicks getting an invite to the Falcons rookie minicamp. I don't know what, if any, effect that Dez has on that, but they probably see, okay, we see the work ethic that Desmond has. We see what Cincinnati players are about. Let's give a invite to the camp and see if there's anything there. And it's interesting, Chad. You mentioned that if they would have somehow beaten Tulane and then played in that game, potentially the same Cotton Bowl against USC. Who was it? I'm forgetting the guy's name. The linebacker for Tulane had 17 tackles against USC, and
right,
he went higher than he was projected. So
right.
Ivan Pace makes those 17 tackles. All of a sudden, you're like, we have to pick Ivan Pace. Yeah. Right. So
that's how the system works, man.
Yeah,
like it or not.
Instead, it was a Fenway Bowl game with a skeleton roster, but new changes. Let's see here. I think someone asked where Andy Reid didn't end up with any Bearcats. Well, he did throw one invite to the rookie minicamp to Jeremy Cooper, so there's that somewhat connection there. But yeah, I mean, Chuck McClellan, Tennessee Titans. Yeah, a lot of what you're mentioning there, Aaron. I'm interested to see, how Lenny T, get him back on the field with the Jaguars and see if he can't find himself on a roster spot. I mean, obviously, a lot to track there. We'll see.
Yeah, Minnesota, I think, has 3 now.
Yeah,
with
Pace.
Ivan Huber, and I think there's one more, isn't there?
No, Tunstall signed
with the Dolphins.
Dolphins, yeah.
Well, he originally agreed to go to the rookie minicamp
Right.
And then the Dolphins signed him as an undrafted free agent instead.
Gave him a contract. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And it should go without, also got to mention the fact that 3 Louisville players also got drafted. So the development and the draftability of players underneath Scott Satterfield and that staff is alive and well still. So 12 players drafted from the college football playoff team from a couple seasons ago. So that is something awesome to look back at. And even go back to that Georgia game. How many were drafted in that year? It was what? I mean, was it 6, I think, or 5? Or maybe it might have been 4. But either way, you're roughly around 16 to 18 players drafted over the last 3 seasons, which is crazy.
I think it was 4 in 21, I think.
Yeah, so 16. I mean, that's not a lot of teams out there. I think I saw someone posted it that only one current Big 12 team has had more over the last 3 seasons. So should hopefully that continues to roll under Satterfield. It'll be I mean, there's some very draftable players on the team this year, so we'll see as things continue to develop, which leads us into talking about this year's team. Unless anything more on the draft or NFL guys,
I got nothing.
I'm sure Chad, you and Dave will have a nice 10-minute recap of the Bengals draft, and
I'm sure Dave will get into it.
That'll be fun. Let's see here. Let's finish up the football talk real quick of Aaron Turner, the wide receiver from UConn, transferred to the Bearcats, led the team in receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, kind of, obviously a kickoff return specialist as well. I don't know if that has the direct connection with Tavares Dawson decommitting and going to Colorado today or not, but you've got a player who put up a pretty good stat line for don't look at UConn and be like, UConn was decent last year. They weren't good by any means. They were decent, but they weren't the winless UConn Huskies. But it seems like that's a good addition and kind of makes up for losing Dawson today, who has 2 career receptions up to this point.
Yeah. The portal is what it is now. It's a free for all until the guy, like, that's why the winter portal, that December window is so much different than the spring one, because the winter one, you can get a guy on campus, enrolled, and in classes within like 10 days, right? Like, it's bang. You're essentially having to wait until a summer session starts, which generally is like June, right, late May, early June, to be able to get any of these guys in. And that's just how transfers work. I mean, they get to kind of play the game, even as they become, it's not even restricted. Like, they're a free agent, and then they're kind of a restricted free. Like, I put my placeholder here, right, but I'm still up. I'm still taking calls. Yeah. Like, phone's still open.
Also, let's be real about the Colorado situation. You can go there and you can play immediately on both sides of the ball, plus every special teams play, and so there's that. And also, when you only have 40 guys on the roster, you have plenty of NIL money to throw around.
Me, you, and Brent could get scholarships in that wide receiver room right now at UC.
I'm not putting my name out there like that.
I don't know. I've seen your hands, Aaron. I think you'd surprise some people. And with that hair, you got a little Jeff Samardzija look to you. I think you could make it work.
Smartzilla.
Smartzilla. I mean, obviously, you get a call from Deion Sanders. He says, "Hey, come play here. We need you. We're going to play you right away, and we'll give you this much money." I think
wide receiver, corner, gunner,
and then
the guy
kick returner. Look. Yeah, the guy takes a look, and he's like, "Oh wow, well there you go. It's a chance for me to get here." As all of a sudden, it's looking like a busy, congested slot receiver for the Bearcats. So I don't know. I think obviously you take a look at the amount of production that Aaron Turner had at UConn and compared to what Dawson had up to this point in his career, and that's where you are. Also over the weekend and also into today are Morion Smith transferred to Michigan State, Jaheim Thomas to Arkansas.
And I didn't see Morion to Michigan State. That's a
yeah.
It's risky.
Saturday.
Okay, well,
yeah.
My time on social media has reduced drastically of late. I need to get back on my game. But
understandable, man.
Raising a 12-year-old solo. Yep. It's exactly like it's raising a 12-year-old daughter solo is exactly like it sounds. It's rough. It's rough.
The horror stories are true. So obviously just see the talent that Morion has there.
Yeah, I mean, look, he has a chance to be an NFL type football player. He's got to get some things dialed back,
right?
But he has a chance to be a high level guy for sure.
It kind of seems like as well the fact that something weird's going on at Michigan State too.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's
quarterback, leading receiver.
Tuck's not coming. Tuck's going.
Right.
And they can't do anything about it. Like they are screwed.
Yeah.
He's got 8 years, $80 million left.
Right.
Sheesh.
All because he went and got lucky on a running back transfer in the portal. Like that's, am I wrong?
No, you're right.
He landed one great running back in the portal.
Dominated the COVID year, and then all of a sudden
who also apparently has health issues, by the way. Like
because they gave him the ball 1,000 times.
Kenneth Walker, we're gonna run you to the ground.
Yeah, literally.
Over and over and over again.
I'm gonna run you into the ground for $100 million. Thank you for your sacrifice, son.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, congrats to Morion. Congrats as well to Jaheim. I wonder if JD got there and was like, "Hey, Arkansas is pretty nice. Come on down." But no, it's a good connection. Obviously, good. See how he does in the SEC. I saw a question in the chat was any offers for Ben in the portal. I haven't seen anything as of yet. I think I did see a 247 article where it was asking who is the best quarterback in the portal currently. And it was between Buckner of Notre Dame, who transferred to Alabama, and Ben Bryant. And the writer said Ben Bryant is the player of those two that he would take. So his name's up there. People are knowing who Ben Bryant is these days. But yeah, that's kind of all I got on that front. Chad, obviously, they're keeping their eyes peeled left and right. You've seen a lot of offers out to the names that are in the portal as well. That's readily updated on the board. You can go check that out. Anything stick out to you guys as far as names you've seen in the portal or names recruiting wise, or kind of just stay tuned?
Yeah.
Right. Stay tuned.
It's I'm trying to keep up. It is so far.
I mean, they've got 17 transfers out of the portal so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot.
I'm doing what I can.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's just one of those, like, when you're stacking the board of, like, things that are, like, who are they contacting in the portal today is, like, it's in the fine print.
Yeah.
It's not up here in the big bold letters.
There's no doubt. Aaron, you got anything else on football or football recruiting?
Nope. Let's make it a timestamp.
All right. Quick one so far, guys.
Quick Paper Supply. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, so products like to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009. They're one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. They provide a wide range of products. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-1290 2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. Maybe as long as everyone in my house lives this week, we'll try to get to Yo Adrian next week.
Yo,
So
Adrian.
maybe get a thread started on the banks, Aaron. I think it'll look better if you do it than if I do it. And we'll start fielding questions for my sister to join us at the beginning of the mailbag every week and essentially shit on me for selling myself out to make us more money to let my sister talk trash. So I hope you guys enjoy and get to the banks this week and get your Yo Adrian questions in for my sister to tell stories about. It should be a blast. I can't wait. You guys got the chance to meet her at the wake. She's
a bit of a fire.
Yeah, she is. She's really looking forward to this opportunity. I'll tell you that.
Good.
Oh boy. Let's go. Let's mailbag it up, right?
Speaking of the banks, where the heck is Skins at?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to have a talk with him about his performance this week.
Yeah,
it's what 2 weeks in the past month that he hasn't
quite
submitted
lacking.
I want to say it's maybe 3 in the last 6.
I know.
In any case, starting in the football portion of the mailbag. And I did see some late submissions from Killer V in each one, so I do have those. With the surprise of how some of our players slid out of the draft or dropped, did you hear if the old staff was helpful during the draft process with NFL teams for the UC players or only focused on Wisconsin? I know last week Brian Brown mentioned he was taking calls from teams for his former players.
I'm sure Brady was involved. Here's the thing you have to think. It makes those guys look better the more you see guys that get drafted. So, yeah, if they can help those guys out, it boosts their resume to do so. So, no, if the implication is they sold those guys out because they left town, I think that would be wildly incorrect.
I guess I understand where the question comes from, as there were some grumblings about how Satterfield was congratulating guys on social media or in any position that he could, and there was not a word, at least publicly, from Luke Fickell. So,
okay.
Well, I don't think they would talk badly about the players themselves.
No.
So,
I agree.
I mean, I think Luke probably had a lot to do with Tennessee Titans being pretty readily available to take Josh Wiley.
I mean, that's his best friend, though. Of course, he's going to talk to his best friend.
Right, but I mean, I think if a team calls, they're going to answer the phone and say, yeah, I mean, great player, great guy, great character. So I think,
I don't think they avoided
that.
I don't think they avoided the phone calls. I just understand where the question may have come from. So,
yeah.
All right. Over under on countdown day, the amount of freshly graduated Bearcats. I don't even know what that means.
Cut down day. I think he meant cut down day.
Right.
When the rosters are finalized.
I read that question 5 times and it broke my brain.
I mean, I think at least 4. I think Ivan makes it. But, I mean, this is the number we were at that were to be drafted or not. I think I took under. I think a bunch of dudes are going to make practice squads. I think 4 dudes make practice squads. If we're talking main roster, the 64 man or whatever it is, 53 man, I'll go 4.
But does practice squad count as being on an NFL roster?
You're not getting a full, you're not technically under contract, I don't think, as a practice squad player. I think you get paid weekly as a practice squad player. You are not if they cut you as a practice squad player, you don't get any more money. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, you're not guaranteed that contract for sure.
Right. Like, I don't think there is a contract, guaranteed or not. I think you're just there
week to week
until you're not. Yeah. So I don't count. I don't count that. I don't know about you guys, but personally, I do not. I think the line of demarcation is like guaranteed contract.
On the 53 man.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's the case,
that's my take.
If that's the case, I still think I have to go over. There's a lot of dudes that got picked up in undrafted free agency.
Okay, so who? Ivan and who?
I feel like
you're just rolling the dice on one of them.
Yes, I'm taking the field. Okay. Yeah, I'm taking the field.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I mean, it sucks. Lenny's kind of stuck. I mean, the Jaguars drafted another tight end as well, and then obviously there's Evan Ingram there. But yeah, I mean, if you're rolling the dice, maybe Lorenz Metz finally maximizes his crazy oozing potential.
I still think it would be more likely he starts on a practice squad.
Right.
Like on cut down day,
yeah,
he's a practice squad guy.
Yeah.
And then he can earn his stripes.
I'd probably go with 4.
He's with the Bears. They don't have stripes, silly.
I'd probably go with 4. Unless like Will Huber really flashes in Minnesota. I mean, it's just tough, man. It's tough.
Did we hear anything about Van Fossen?
Yeah, he was invited to Colts rookie minicamp.
Okay.
So, we'll see. I think 4 is the safe number there, but I can see you taking the field, Aaron, and I'd be okay with that.
I think it's just that, like, I get where Aaron's coming from. We all feel pretty confident there's going to be 4.
Yeah.
And then you just take the field that one of the other ones sneaks its way into an opening day roster.
Right.
I just feel comfortable with expanded practice squads like they are now. I think teams are going to be more comfortable taking the rookies like that and making them work their way up through the practice squad.
You also have injuries between now and then with mini camp where you can hop a guy, and then with the fall camps as well. So we'll see. Do you guys think Zach Taylor has a thing against drafting UC players due to his abysmal time there?
No. I mean, look, I would love to have seen Cincinnati draft Tyler Scott in the 3rd round when they had the opportunity. But they took a guy that was 2nd in the entire NCAA in receiving yards, that had played the position that they were drafting a wide receiver to kind of groom behind Tyler Boyd. Like, do I think Tyler Scott plays in the slot in the NFL? Yeah, probably. Like, I think that's – but the guy they took played in the slot mostly and was the number 2 leading receiver in terms of yards in all of the, like, FCS college football.
Mm-hmm. The only knock I have
for making that pick.
The only knock I have on him, as opposed to Tyler Scott, is that he's going to be 25 this season, whereas Tyler Scott will be 22. So
okay,
that's the biggest knock I had there. He's taller than Tyler. He's as fast, I guess. I mean, Tyler ran what we're being told is a 4.3. He ran a 4.3 while he was here. The guy the Bengals drafted ran a 4.4. And at that point, I think you're splitting hairs, but
and the slot position is kind of evolving too, where it's like, you know, you're
it's team to team,
right? Exactly, yeah. Some are adapting the whole bigger body, not quite the super quick twitch fast guys, just kind of more a possession guy to have mismatches against someone over the middle. So I don't know,
but no, I don't think they're purposely like, no, we don't want UC guys, because
yeah, maybe he does. He just sees like Tommy Tuberville's face every time
he's got
that the CPAW flashes up. He's like, oh god,
PTSD.
Yeah. Get a job. I do have a job. I'm the head coach of the Bengals. But no,
I put out a tweet. I mean, I still think that nobody on the Bengals has me on their radar on Twitter at all. Nor do they listen to this podcast, where I said repeatedly that if you draft or pick up even an Ivan Pace,
you were all over that,
or Josh Wiley, they would pay for themselves in jersey sales alone on the West Side. If the East Side happens to fall in love with them, then you're in the green. But
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Where does UC actually stand on filling up the wide receiver room and adding another offensive tackle?
They're in favor of it.
It is an ongoing development.
I think that's where they stand. I think they are pro filling up the wide receiver room and adding another outside offensive lineman.
They're on the same side of the line as all of us.
They stand. Who was damn it? What was the old quote? What do you think about your offense's execution? And in a post-game press conference, and the coach said, "I'm in favor of it."
I'm for it.
I'm in favor of it. Yeah, execute all those motherfuckers. They're terrible. Get them out of here.
That was Brian Kelly.
No, it's an old NFL, like 80s NFL coach.
Somebody said there was something that happened with Brian Kelly where it came up with the word execute was used, and he used it poorly. And given his time at Notre Dame, that was not the best look.
Right. No, this was an old NFL. It was not Brian Kelly. It was for some reason Dick Vermeil. Yeah, Brian Kelly said they need to be executed. It was the Tampa Bay Bucks. John McKay. That's what it is. John McKay from Tampa Bay. What do you think of your offense's execution? I'm in favor of it.
There it is.
Fake John Gogol.
All right. And the last question in the football portion of the mailbag. There are 7 Bearcats that signed post-draft tender offers with various NFL teams. What is the over-under on how many of the 7 make opening game NFL rosters, not practice squads?
We just
what is the over-under on how many start game 1?
Start?
Out of the undrafted?
That's 0. Like 0.5 and take the under.
Well, what if we're talking guys? What if we're talking about guys that are on NFL umbrella under NFL umbrellas as they currently stand? Because even the guys that were drafted, I don't know that more than one of them starts, and even that might only be on special teams.
Yeah, under low. Yeah.
So, all right, moving on to the basketball portion of the mailbag. The last portion of the mailbag, might I add. Would it be possible to have an NIL scholarship? A walk-on could conceivably get NIL money to pay for his tuition and be a member of the basketball team. I would assume that coaches have looked into this by being able to expand the roster. Isn't there 15 available players on the bench?
No, there's 13 scholarships. You can have as many walk-ons as you want. We have talked about this multiple times on this mailbag. Do I think it's possible? Yeah, I think it's possible to have a player have his scholarship paid for by NIL. But if I was the player, you know what I would want? I would want that money. And you to pay for my scholarship and to give me that money for me instead of letting you off the hook for covering my expenses with scholarship. So that's a difficult conversation to have, right? 2, if it was something that, coaches look for every loophole they can find. And if this was something that was realistic, I have to think we would have heard of somebody doing it. Now, maybe it's coming. We just haven't heard it yet. But knowing how coaches have guys on their staff that just comb for loopholes in their spare time. Like it happened, we talked about this here before, answering this question. It happened before with like the club football that Luke Fickell and his staff started doing when they first got here. They were allowed, if you didn't catch this or if you weren't around at the time, they were having all of the local players around town pay like $10 a week to come to a training facility and have like football camps with the UC coaches and nobody else there. And it was perfectly legal as long as they paid their $10 to get in, then they could come in and do these workouts. And finally, word started getting out. And then you know how that works. You know, then two schools are doing it, then 5 schools are doing it, then 10 schools are doing it. And now the NCAA is going, hey, we got to shut this down immediately. And then they shut it down. They will take advantage of every loophole possible. So if it was possible, I have to think it either would have been done or will be done in the very near future. Now, one reason that it may not be, though, Brent, is that coaches really don't want 13 scholarships in the first place. Most coaches would rather have like 11 or 12.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like right now with the portal the way it is, it's how can you make 13 strong players happy? It's
so you have to have like, you know, two developmental guys that understand their situation.
Right.
One guy that's hurt, and then you have the 10 guys that you play with.
Right. Well, and then if you tell one of them, hey, we're going to do this interesting thing where we're going to take you off scholarship, but we're going to pay for your schooling, you know what that guy might say? If he's not all in, 2 feet in, 10 toes down, he'll say, okay, well, I'm going to be entering the portal tomorrow. And just like that.
The rocks won't kick themselves.
There you go.
Why would the rock kick himself?
Yeah, do rocks have feet?
You know the saying. Kick rocks.
Are you talking about The Rock?
Yeah, The Rock.
Any idea on who staff is contacting about non-conference scheduling?
Yeah, but if I told you that right now, I'd have to kill you.
Merrimack.
Those are deals that are not signed yet, and we'll get to that as we get a little bit farther down the road.
Merrimack.
Have you heard any new names? Have you heard any new names for 2024 after the first 2 open weekends?
Well, so that was the plan for last night. That was what I was going to do last night after everybody, you know, got back off the road. All my contacts in the basketball world reconvened in their locations around the country. And then my dog died. And then I cried a lot. And I've not been able to make those phone calls. I missed one right before this show started. And I've been waiting for that person to call me back, and it hasn't happened yet. That info is coming. But, you know, the universe keeps kicking me in the nuts and preventing me from doing my job. What?
Well, there's only 6 questions left, so hopefully we can get through them before the phone call comes.
I think there's this guy named Flory Badunga. I think he's pretty good. 2 coaches were there watching him. I know that.
Yeah, Travis Perry. Also pretty good.
He's on the same team. That's convenient.
Yeah,
super convenient.
Riley Burgess did commit to Purdue, which I think
not surprising.
Right, not surprising, but I think a good thing overall. If
I feel like he fits the Purdue mold.
Think about it.
There's reasons that's a good thing for UC. We'll just leave it at that.
So,
all right.
I do need a Fire Pit Friday and some beers. That is absolutely correct.
Possible lineup combinations we might have with the new roster.
So at guard, you have Jizzle James, Davion Thomas, and Mike Adams-Woods. One of them will play point guard. On the wing, you have CJ Frederick. You have John Newman. You have Dan Skillings. You have Seamus Lukosius. You have Josh Reed. Who can kind of be a flex guy. You have Rayvon. And then down low, you know, and those guys can, like, you can play 2 of those guys together at the 2 and the 3. And then you have Vic, and then you have Jamil Reynolds, and you have Odi Oguama, and you have Sage Tolentino. And we'll see if that's all, or if maybe there's one more added there. And those guys will play the 5, and some of them can play the 4. And you might see some guys in that second group slide down into the third group playing the 4. So some combination of that are possible lineup combinations. If you would like Justin Berg's thoughts, Justin Berg has an article pinned to the top of the basketball message board talking about his prediculations for the roster and what the first team could look like, what the second unit could look like.
What was that word?
Prediculations.
Yeah.
I've not. That's a new one. I've never heard that one from you. I actually really like that word.
That's a Berg word. That's literally in the title of the article.
I have
prediculations.
Aaron, you read the article, so
yeah, sure.
You missed it.
All my free time running after
His
a little wee baby child today.
Yeah, well, I hear you, man. His play on words was premature prediculations. So,
of course it is.
now you get a better feel.
I think you can surmise what the connection is there. So.
Yep. All right.
I tried not to take it there, and Brent,
for me, Aaron, I'm excited to see some like run and gun with Skillings, and like hopefully Rayvon's ready, and you can.
I feel like
Brian on the wings, and whew.
Brent has plenty of those prediculations on a daily basis.
They're also premature.
Wow. Okay.
That's what I was getting at. Ray's being listed at 6'7", 180. Where would you guys like to see the Monster Factory get him to? I love this question.
6'9". Can Mike get him to 6'9"? Like you put him on that upside down hanging thing?
Ooh, stretch him out. Yeah.
Stretch him out. Couple. I love 6'9" wings. So
put him in whatever contraption the Oompa Loompas had to put the little cowboy kid in to stretch him back out.
Right.
But no, I'd like to see him get to, if he stays at 6'7", if he doesn't grow, I'd like to see him get to like 195.
Yeah, that's about right. 195, 200 is about right for a wing in that range.
Hell, if he gets up to like 250, not 215, 210, 205. I mean,
he's a power forward. He's a small ball forward.
No, that's a good, strong built size.
Okay.
On the wing.
You're just changing his entire body type.
Not really.
Just putting 30 pounds on him.
I'm saying the Monster Factory does some crazy things.
You're right. He'll just take what Jamil's losing.
Dan Skillings is 205. I mean, Landers Nolly was 220.
I mean, if we're talking about what Ray looks like when he's in his 6th year of college basketball,
right? It's not crazy to say that.
Yeah, after 6 years.
I'm just saying, like that's not crazy for a wing.
Do you know if any current or former Bearcats are planning on participating in the Smith League this summer?
No.
All right.
I imagine a lot will. I saw Seamus Lukosius was one of the breadcrumbs. He followed the Smith League on like Friday, so it's like okay, another breadcrumb.
One of my favorite names in all of Bearcat Journal, Lucy Loves Banana. Is there smoke with UC and Bandago? Any concern with team/coach chemistry if we have to do any more roster gymnastics?
Yes. No. I love when they ask yes or no questions. I'm a big fan. And I love Lucy Loves Banana. That's the best name in the history of Bearcat Journal. Lucy Loves Banana.
It's a good one. All right. So yes, there is smoke, and no, there is no concern with team and or coach chemistry.
I mean, who knows? Like, somebody's probably going to get pissed off if another guy's at it. Like, but again, the commas on my bank account are a lot less than the commas on the bank account of the guy that works in the big office in the Linder Center, and I don't concern myself with that until I hear like these guys want to kill each other. I don't really worry about it.
I'm glad you brought that back up because it allowed me to interject my joke in when Brent said, "Oh, people have phone numbers as bank accounts." Yeah, mine is the operator.
Pretty cool number.
So it's a good thing your baby mama's doing well.
Think you guys could get B Fox on a pod to talk about Cincy Reigns. I think everyone has a ton of questions. Might make for a good pod and raise awareness.
We've done that. I guess sometime during the summer we can have my boy B Fox back on to chat it up. But if you just search in the YouTube channel, we actually had Brian Fox and John Cunningham on, and they both did some talk about. That was on BCJ Pod, right, Aaron?
Yeah, that was BCJ Pod.
I don't know if they're ready to be on this one.
We don't put lawyers on this podcast.
B Fox would do fine on this one.
Yeah, probably.
He's the fireside chat guy, though. I don't know that he's ready for what we do here.
Oh, he would be. Trust me, B Fox would be fine.
I know.
Yeah, right.
He's an Avon, Indiana guy. He can handle it.
All right. I don't. What does that mean, Fozzie Bear? All right. Would signing Bandago?
Like you said a funny, and someone threw a tomato at you. Fozzie, Quazzie. You know.
Waka.
There you go.
All right.
Waka.
Would signing Bandago likely mean losing Reynolds, or would Sage, Reed, Newman, and Mike Adams Woods be the real candidates?
I don't know.
Man, people really want to get rid of Micah.
I know. I've said like 30 times. Like, I would be shocked if Micah's not on this roster next year.
When you say
why would adding a 5 run Micah off?
I was gonna say when you're listing how many guards we have and the number is 3, that's you don't want less than 3.
Well, 3 like point guards. I think
you don't want less than 3 point guards. If one gets injured, you're down to 2 guys.
And then you're a sprained away from disaster.
Believe me, I agree, but it's not like just those 3 are playing the 1 and the 2. But
we'll see, guys. We will cover it as it happens. I don't get into the speculation because, again, if I say something and give my opinion, the next thing you know, it's on the message boards and on Twitter. Oh, Chad said so-and-so's gone. Chad said Wes is running this guy off. Like, I did not say that. So I can't give my opinion on this stuff anymore. Like, if you would like to ask Aaron and Brent, and they are free to give their opinion, and then if people try to pin that on them, that's perfectly fine with me, because I will have plausible deniability to say, I never said that. Aaron said it. Take it up with Aaron.
Well, I got my information from Chad, and he said... That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
Well, a nice, tidy BBP, if you will. No guests. Royer out on assignment, I think is.
That is right, though, Steven. I did say I like meat jerk products, and you got some, and they're awesome, right? So
yes,
right. There you go.
Yes, they are awesome.
They are.
Aaron uses them as well.
I have not used them. Sure. No?
You should.
Maybe I'll get some later. Okay, John White 17 wants an Aaron Smith stamp of his Bengals grade.
I'll be honest, I haven't looked into it enough to feel good about giving my grade on the draft. So what I will say is when Dave inevitably gives his opinion, I'll chime in between now and Wednesday night. And I'll give my grade on Wednesday. How's that?
Okay.
Draft grades are funny though.
I was helping my sister move babies, baseball. Like I had to go to a doubleheader yesterday.
Oh man.
Driving to and from Cincinnati, 2.5 hours each way. Come on, man.
My dog died.
And no one's asking you for a grade.
Hold on. I wanna before
I
we go.
wasn't
wanna
looking
put
for
up-
sympathy. I'm just saying I didn't have time to
I'm just
research the draft as well as I would have liked to.
I'm just being me. I do want to put up my favorite picture of Bear before we get out of here today.
Okay.
Takes a while to get to because it was from when he was a puppy, and I'll tell the story from when he was a puppy.
Okay.
He did not like the rain at all.
Right.
And we had like we lived in Newport, so we had like a little porch in Newport, and then we would take him out to go to the bathroom, and instead of going to the bathroom, he would just stand and look at the rain and be like, "Nah, fam,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that."
What do you think
And
you're
this was
trying to make
Bear.
me do?
That was him. He would just stand there and look at it. So we actually had to start putting a puppy pad on the porch so that he would go so he had somewhere to go when it was raining outside, because that is exactly what Bear did every time it was raining outside. We had to put a little something for him to stand on down there so he could he would just stand and just be like, "No, I'm not doing that.
Y'all are
That's
crazy.
not it, man.
I'm not going out there."
It. He's like, y'all don't go take a piss in the rain. Why should I go take a piss in the rain?
This is that dog as a puppy though, right? Not as like a full grown.
This is like eventually he would go pee in the rain, but like early when we were potty training. So my thing on potty training, when I have a puppy, I just take him outside every 30 minutes.
I just want to make sure that loud ass bark was not coming from that little ass dog in this picture.
No, he got bigger. Out here. There's Bear right after his last haircut.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. That's my guy.
Good boy. It's a good boy.
Yep. Rest in peace, buddy.
Amen, man. Amen.
Get us out of here.
I got you, bro. Well, hey, special thanks as always to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Special thanks as well to Quick Paper Supply for their timestamps. But a lot going on all through.
Yo, Adrian, next week. Yo, Adrian next week.
And of course, as always, stay locked into BCJ. A ton going on still. There's no doubt about it. But without further ado, for my guys, my pals, good friends, good buddies, Aaron Smith and Chad Brendel, I am Brent Young. This is another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!